Okay, everybody, let's recap the lesson. Today what we're talking about is using the unit circle to evaluate the other functions, the co-functions, which are the cosecant, secant, and cotangent. Okay? Since we know that the unit circle has a radius of 1, cosecant then is 1 over sine, which is 1 over y. Secant is 1 over cosine, or 1 over x. And of course, cotangent, which is the reciprocal of tangent, is now x over y. So what we did is we looked at these examples. Now, cosecant of 30 is the same as 1 over y. So we looked for the 30-degree angle. We found 30-degree angle. The y value is 1/2, but we have 1 over 1/2, which becomes 2. So we know that any fraction, 1 over any fraction, just becomes its reciprocal. Okay. Example 2, secant, which is 1 over x value. We've got 315, which is right there. The x value is square root of 2 over 2. We got 1 over the square root of 2 over 2, and we fixed it, and we rationalized it. We finally came up with just the square root of 2, okay? Cotangent of 240, so we went to 240, and it's either going to be the x or the y, or it's just 1 over the tangent, which is much easier to do 1 over tangent. We did that, we rationalized it, we got square root of 3 over 3, okay? Cosecant of negative 60, 60 degrees has rotation to here, but negative 60 put me here. I'm looking for my cosecant, which is the 1 over the y. So it's 1 over negative square root of 3 over 2. We did the work on the board to rationalize it, but we realized that 1 over negative square root of 3 over 2 is just 2, negative 2 squares of 3 over 3, okay? 420 for secant is 1 over the x, so 420 is 360 plus 60 more. 1 over the x, which is 1 over 1/2, which is 2. Cotangent of 180 is going to be the opposite tangent, which is, so it's either going to be the x over the y, which is 0, okay? X over y, which is 0. No. Yes, x over, 180. I'm in the wrong spot, my bad. X, so it's 0, it is negative 1 over 0, which is undefined, or 1 over 0. I was in the wrong spot for 180. Okay, then radians, same things, just have to find that on the unit circle. 3 pi 4 is here. I'm looking for the cosecant, which is a 1 over the y, 1 over the y. 1 over square root of 2 over 2, which we have done already, becomes just plain old square root of 2. Secant, which is 1 over the x. I got a 5 pi 6. 1 over the x is 1 over square root of 3 over 2, which we rationalize and change to negative 2 square root of 3. Cotangent 2 pi, which is 1 over the tangent. 2 pi thirds is here. 1 over the tangent value is 1 over negative square root of 3. So we rationalized it. We got negative square root of 3 over 3. Cosecant of pi, which is 1 over the y. Here's pi. 1 over 0. 1 over 0. 1 over the y is 0, which is undefined. Secant of 0, 1 over x. So you go to 0. 1 over the x is 1 over 1, which is 1. Cotangent of negative pi 6, which is right here, because the pi 6 is here. Negative pi 6 is here. 1 over the tangent value, 1 over the negative square root of 3 over 3 becomes just negative square root of 3, okay? The back side, we looked at using a calculator. So if you want secant of 58 degrees, just use your calculator. 1 divided by cosine of 58 degree mode. And then when we did this one, we had to change our calculator to radian mode. Cotangent's 1 over tangent. So I just had to go my mode. I changed my mode to radian mode. You got to do that, because you can't do this in degree mode. So then I just simply went 1 divided by tangent of 1.2, okay? There you go. So remember, mode is either going to be degree mode or radian mode, depending on the angle. Finally, we talked about a reference angle. So a reference angle, in a circle, we want right triangles. So to make a right triangle on the circle, you're looking for right angles. So I did a 130-degree angle, and then I created a right triangle on the x-axis. So the reference angle is the 50, because that makes the 130 and the 50 becomes 180. Okay, so my reference angle is the right triangle on the x-axis. Okay, last one. So whenever I see this quadrants 2, 3, or whatever quadrants, I think, okay, I better make my quadrants. So I drew my graph quadrants. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. I knew I was in quadrant 2. And I know tangent is the y over the x, so I've got a negative 3 over 4, but that doesn't make sense. If I'm in quadrant 2, Negative 3 over 4 is the same fraction as 3 over negative 4. It has to be that way because that's my y value. It has to be a positive 3, my x value is negative 4. So I switched to the negative so it would work. So I know that negative 3/4 is the same thing as 3 over negative 4. I did that because I need my x to be negative to graph back, my y to be positive, graph up. Okay, now, if I'm going to do sine, cosine, cosecant, secant, and cotangent, I need the radius. So I did the Pythagoras theorem to find the radius, and I got the radius to be 5, okay? I just did my x squared plus y squared equals r squared, and r equals 5. So if I knew that, I knew x is negative 4 from the point, y is 3 from the point, and I know that the radius is 5. And then I just filled in sine y over r, 3 over 5. Cosine x over r, negative 5 over 4. Cosecant, which is the reciprocal of sine, which is 5/3. Secant, which is reciprocal of cosine, which is 5 over negative 4. And then cotangent, which is the reciprocal of tangent, which is 4 over negative 3. And that's all I had, and there's your homework for tonight. So hopefully you'll get it done. It's pretty easy.